Welcome to Courtney on Health, heard on MalcolmPresents.com, a streaming portal to the immediate universe.
The immediate universe.
The
Hey,
immediate universe, not the far off universe.
not the far away one.
No,
Okay.
but that's amazing. Those pictures they're sending back.
Yes, that's true.
And by the way, all Courtney shows are on demand, so you can go in at your leisure, or leisure, as you prefer to pronounce it, see all the shows, and we have all the back shows.
Yep.
So if you have time off during the holidays,
That's
just
right.
binge watch your shows and make yourself healthy for the new year. Make that
a New Year's resolution,
to listen
Courtney
to
on Health.
Or listen while you're exercising.
That's
or listen while
right.
you're exercising.
That's good.
Or
We got to
eat-
get some more.
or eat while you're listening.
Right. One of the eat healthy, right?
Eat healthy. Anyway,
So,
Max,
here we go. So
lead us into the show as usual.
I'm going to say hi to Courtney and hi to Malcolm, but we already kind of did that. Welcome to Courtney on Health, the Zoomcast podcast series, which focuses on one's overall well-being with tips on nutrition and exercise given by Courtney Gravenese, registered dietitian with a Master of Science degree in nutrition and applied physiology. Courtney is an experienced nutritional and health consultant in the New York metro area and beyond, into the front universe and the back universe, and will help guide you on a path to wellness and health. So 'tis the season to sip hot chocolate or eggnog, and you can get the high test eggnog, and we know what that's, a little rum in
That's
there.
all about.
That's all about. And the low test, which is, more kiddie friendly. And you could sit around the fireplace, in the glow of the fireplace, and the aromas from the spices and the scent of the pine from the Christmas tree that fills the air, and it's fantastic. Festive spices linger in our taste buds and tummies as we enjoy making and eating gingerbread houses and cookies during the holiday seasons, and other goodies as well. But the herbs and a lot of cookies. But the herbs and spices are not just good for tasting and smelling. A number of them have excellent health benefits too. Seasonal spices can give our mood and energy a boost, help reduce aches and pains, and can heal your wintry blues. So Courtney, let's spice things up for the holidays. Give us some information on health benefits of the commonly used spices and herbs for baking, cooking, and other stuff.
Absolutely. Well, hello, both of you.
Hello.
And yes,
Howdy.
we talk a lot about herbs and spices being more than just things to add to make our food taste better. We've touched on the health benefits of herbs and spices before, but I thought it would be an interesting spin to focus primarily on those that are used most typically this time of year. That does not mean that this is the only time of year they can be used, but there's a reason why markets and grocery stores put a lot of these on sale this time of year, starting from, usually right after Halloween, straight through New Year's, is because they're very commonly used. So it's somewhat alphabetical. I thought that would keep it somewhat organized. And
you're not going to nutmeg first? Sorry. That's in the middle. Okay.
We can go right there if you want.
No, it's okay. Sorry to throw the.
So allspice, which some people may know this, some people may not, although it sounds like a mishmash of a bunch of different spices, and if you smell it, and once again, I wish we had smell-o-vision, it does smell like it's a combination of a little nutmeg, a little clove, a little cinnamon, but it is in and of itself its own unique spice. It actually comes from, it's a dried berry from a plant in the myrtle family. So some people may know that or may not know that, but it is its own unique spice. You can, in a pinch, if you are making, so for example, pumpkin pies or ciders or like mulled cider, for example, and you do not have allspice in your house, you can do, and you can look online, it's equal parts cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg to get by, certainly in a pinch. So it has wonderful flavor. It's the health benefits are strongly linked to anti-tumor activity. So it may be helpful as being something to help with preventing cancer. Now, keep in mind, these are herbs and spices. When they're studied in much larger amounts, usually not the amounts that we're going to be consuming them, but nonetheless, it's important to be mindful that not only does it taste good, but there may be health benefits as well. You guys have heard me speak about quercetin before as an antioxidant. Very high amounts of quercetin in allspice, along with something called gallic acid. So that is one of the health benefits. Again, most common recipes are usually pumpkin pies, fruit pies, and certainly mulled cider uses allspice. It's wonderful. It makes your house smell just incredible when you're making it. Anise. Do you guys know? Now I feel like anise and fennel, and even though we're going to go slightly out of order alphabetically, people either love that whole licorice-like flavor of anise, or they can't stand it. So based on your face, Maxine, I'm going with not a fan.
I don't somehow the really dark, the licorice, that taste. And also I'm not that much of a fan of fennel for that reason too, because that has like a licoricey
And
taste.
I love, talking about anisette. The
Yep.
liquor.
Right, but
I'd
rather
I love licorice.
the red,
Oh,
the
see, so
vine. I
you
like the
like it. So
red
the
vine.
anise- Yes, so the anise, I don't know if you guys can see this, and I'll post a picture of it when I do my post of the show. These are the anise seed, these are the pods, and you can use these like it's used very commonly in like baked hams, a lot of sweet pastry type dishes. This time of year they're used. So this has, if you smell it, the most pungent licorice aroma to it, and the strongest flavor to it. So, if you like it, wonderful. If not, you could certainly omit it. But oftentimes, keep in mind, even if you dislike the super strong scent or flavor of anise, when it's mixed with other herbs and spices, in particularly savory dishes, it tends to make it less, blends it in a little bit more. So be mindful of that. If you see a recipe that has anise in it, don't necessarily not try it. Chances are, if it's a good recipe, the flavors blend a little bit better, and it's not going to taste like a piece of black licorice in your mouth. But very beneficial for the GI system. And Malcolm, you mentioned that anisette, which is typically an after dinner drink, and we'll talk about that in a second. So that great licorice flavor has antifungal properties to it and antimicrobial properties to it, but it has been long known, along with our friend fennel, to help with digestion, which is why the drinks like anisette and any of those fennel-based, anise-based beverages are served at the end of a meal. I know in my family, we serve fennel. So there's fennel bulb, and then there's fennel seed. And they're from two different types of plants in the fennel family. If you've ever been to an Indian restaurant, so oftentimes they would have bowls of fennel seeds served for you to help yourself at the end of a meal, because of that beneficial digestive compounds that are inside the fennel seeds.
The fennel seeds don't, and yes, I've had them in Indian restaurants.
Yeah.
It's more palatable, the fennel seeds, for some reason, for me, I don't know, than the actual, anise or anise, the heavier licorice flavor, the fennel. I don't know,
It's definitely, I'm with you. It's definitely, and if you smell them right now, it definitely has a much more muted, delicate licorice smell to it, and certainly flavor to it, than I would say the anise pods do. Fresh fennel, I was saying just a couple of seconds ago, my family traditionally, and this is as long as I remember being a kid, at the end of the meal, we'd have a fruit and nut platter that was served after the main course, but before we'd have our dessert. And on that platter, in addition to the nuts and the fruits, would be slices of fresh, uncooked, so raw fennel. And so it's, at the time, as a kid, I remember, I'm like, this is a little odd, but I get it now, because it's very helpful. Again, helping with digestion, particularly of what would typically be a very heavy meal.
Wow.
So
is amaretto good for digestion? Amaretto.
Well, I hate to drive people to booze but there's a reason why they call them digestifs, if you quote to the French, right? So there's a reason why they're called that, and there are compounds like in bitters and things like that that have been studied to be beneficial to help with digestion. How they help with the muscle the way the muscles contract in the intestines. So that may be one role or one way that they actually help. Think of it as an antispasmodic. In some cases, it helps move the bowel, move stools along, so it helps with constipation. So it's not, it's not completely unfounded in science. There's a reason why these have been, people go to these for their digestive benefits.
Well, again, everything, as you say, everything is 2 degrees. If you take, some sips from a little glass, you're not drinking the whole thing, the whole night.
Absolutely. So, and again, so it tends to slow down the feeding process too. So if you slow the pace and don't necessarily jump from entree, right into sugary desserts, maybe there's a chance that you won't have as much. There's all sorts of reasons why it may be beneficial, but in terms of the science behind what the mechanism is, it's probably having to do with that, that intestinal relaxation that people experience. So you can see I use a lot of cinnamon in my house because I got the Costco size crazy, container here. So cinnamon is one of those incredible, smells good, makes you feel good. It's very helpful. I've long told a lot of my clients as a recommendation, if you're trying to cut back on adding sugar to foods or having sweet foods, adding cinnamon is a wonderful, no-calorie way to enhance sweetness. So if you've ever had it, and I'm sure that both of you have, when you have it in a food, it really does elevate the sweetness that's already in that food, which makes it particularly beneficial, like I said, for enhancing that flavor. And it might actually help with, consuming less sugar in the long run.
Right.
One of the best compounds that we know inside cinnamon, and you all may have heard of this, is helpful particularly with individuals with diabetes or with pre-diabetes, because it seems to help lower blood sugar levels. So it's referred to as an anti-diabetic compound. So I will tell you that out of all of the spices and herbs we're talking about today, that appears to be the best studied and with the greatest success. So if you talk to an endocrinologist or if you look at the research, there really seems to be very good data in support and very little downside to including cinnamon in the diet. And because it doesn't require huge amounts, it makes it a little bit easier to realistically add it. So for example, you could be adding it to your oatmeal every day, or your cereal, or in a tea that you make every day. And about 1 tablespoon to a little bit more than that is a reasonable amount to include.
Per cup? Or just in the tea.
So if you 1 tablespoon, and if you in a cup or in a bowl of oatmeal,
that seems to be a lot of cinnamon.
A lot.
Yeah, I use cinnamon. I mean, I use it in my tea also, but I don't put in. I thought that would be a lot, putting in like a teaspoon or something of cinnamon. That seems to be a lot of stuff.
But if that's your threshold, you can certainly, stay there. It's not, again, there's no downside to the way you're having it. And who knows, maybe research will show us that you don't need, you don't need the tablespoon amount. So the doses usually start around 150 milligrams, but they go up to like 5 grams, which is a huge amount, which really needs to be taken in a capsule or supplemental type form. But we're trying to make this so that it's what you can do with your foods or beverages to help increase the amount of these very beneficial to our health, these herbs and spices that are beneficial.
I know. So, I don't know. You're still doing the alphabet, because I can't wait till you get to turmeric. That seems to be.
It's funny because Yeah, I'm happy to talk about turmeric because we've spoken about it on the show before when we did
Mhm.
a broader base of it. It's not
Right.
typical. It's not a typical holiday-based
Right.
spice, but in
But
terms of antifungal, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory compounds, it's way at the top of the list. So
right.
yeah, even though it's not a common, I would say, holiday spice, in terms of its usefulness, particularly worldwide. You know, Americans, I think, are just coming around to using it a little bit more, but
Mhm.
it has centuries of you know, research behind it and use behind it in terms of traditional medicine or Ayurvedic medicine and its benefits. So
Yeah, I've been using that more and more and more, and
now,
yeah.
do you do the tea? Do you do a capsule? How do you take it?
No, I do it in a tea, and there's also this other mix that you can get, through this company I use to get my loose tea, because I drink loose teas. I'm not anyway. So yeah, and you could put in, that's a mix. Like if you go to a coffee or tea place now, you can
Yeah.
get those the turmeric tea, and it's this from this mix thing that you can get it. So but I put it in straight. I put cinnamon and that in my tea, and that's my morning. So
It's wonderful. I mean,
I
you know,
love
I
it.
think teas are, just on a sidebar here, I think teas are a wonderful way for a lot of individuals in a relatively easy, relatively low cost way to try and include in a lot of these. So you can make a lot of your own teas, you know,
Right.
with like what you're just saying. You can, you know, boil up ginger root, for example, put in a lemon rind, put in a little cayenne pepper, which we've spoken about hot pepper before in terms of its anti-inflammatory role. Add a little bit of sweetener, doesn't need a whole lot, a little cinnamon in there, boil that up, and your house will smell great. And you just created this wonderful, fresh, you know, very antioxidant packed tea that can be very, very beneficial for a variety of different reasons. So experimenting with what the flavors that you like, and adding in, other things in there to boost the flavor, I think is a great way to make your own home brew.
Well, gingerbread is very, very up there in the scale of holiday stuff, especially, gingerbread, ginger
Yes,
cookies, gingerbread houses,
yes.
it's up there in the scope of holidays. Everyone, thinks about it, and the gingerbread houses are a big thing to do. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so what I have here, I have there's obviously ginger root, which most people are familiar with. So that tea that I just mentioned, and I'm happy to post sort of a quick little recipe about it, is you peel it, that barky stuff on the outside, and you boil up ginger root as your base. So that is one way to make a tea. Grated ginger in things like stews, or a lot of Indian-based dishes have ginger in it, or curries. It's wonderful. You can dial it up, add more if you need, or if you like the flavor, dial it down if you don't. Let your taste buds be the guide. Typically for things like gingerbread, which by the way is a family favorite around here, you're going to buy the powdered gingers. They've done the work for you.
Excuse me for a minute, but you have a scene stealer down there.
I know.
Take a look
I
over your
don't know what to do with
shoulder.
him. Simba, what are you doing? But oh, he likes the light. He's
Oh,
playing with the sunlight this time.
Yeah, I
of
know.
day.
She was chasing it.
Yeah, well, all right. I'm
that's
gonna stand over
okay.
here and hopefully
That's
block him.
live.
No, Simba's
No.
part of the
It's part of the show.
he's part of the
He's part of the
he's,
scenery, my
he's
cat.
definitely part of the show.
I just
Without
want
a
to
doubt.
give it credit.
Okay, Simba gets credit. Yeah,
He totally, yeah, I see him there. Oh my gosh. All right.
he's
Anyway, we'll
okay.
continue.
He's okay.
Ground ginger is one of the ingredients that you use in addition to cinnamon to make that wonderful warm gingerbread flavor, that aroma that you smell. So again, I'm going to post that. It's a soft gingerbread recipe. If you are a fan of gingerbread, I will post it when I post for this show. Super easy. And again, it's for soft gingerbread if you are a fan. So ginger, wonderful. We went out of order a little bit, but that it's best known for its anti-nausea benefits. So you know, you can have it certainly in a tea form, if you'd like, buy it already made, or I think one of the best ways and the strongest ways to have it be helpful for nausea is to make your own tea. That's if you're feeling well enough to make it. But most of the research points to its benefit as helping reduce that feeling of nausea. So keep that in mind for indigestion as well.
Interesting.
Cloves. So those are, oh, he's crazy. I'm gonna open the door and let him out. Hang on. Simbi, come over here, you. Go ahead, you little crazy cat. Go ahead, Bill. Sorry about that. Our cloves are one of the spices that has the richest source of antioxidants, in particular something called phenolic acid. So these are used in hams. Their ground cloves are used in that mulling, as a mulling spice, as I mentioned before. A lot of different seasonal, both savory and sweet dishes where cloves are used. It can be used as a wonderful aromatic just for your home. So if you're somebody who's trying to you know, you don't want to use sprays or things that smell, you know, like chemicals or don't smell pleasant to you. Boiling up a little pot of water and you're going to start with a boil and then simmering things like orange rinds or lemon peels, things that you might either compost or throw out, throwing in some cloves and maybe a cinnamon stick or two. Your house will smell amazing, and it's a great way to use, you know, some of the cloves, and you don't need a lot. It's like maybe a few cloves that you would put in there, but very, very high antioxidant capacity inside these cloves.
I've just thought of something, you know, because you're talking about all these herbs and spices that are physically beneficial for the body. Do they have any profession like a doctor or a chef, let's say you are, that treat people with the herbs and spices that they can cook with to cure certain maladies or you know, problems that a person has? Because I could see like going to a doctor and, you know, or a specialist, a chef who specializes in that, and say, oh, you know, I have my problems with my whatever. And they said, well, you should cook more with so-and-so and give you recipes with all those spices and herbs. I haven't heard of it.
There's homeopathic. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, so, or even, I would say probably closer to a functional medicine practitioner, and that doesn't necessarily have to be a doctor. It could be a dietitian or a nutritionist or somebody.
Or a chef.
A chef?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So teaching people how not just to, you know, buy the supplement, but incorporating these in their everyday foods every week, not just holiday time, but all the time. So
Chris, what you're saying, you know, you're showing this has great antioxidant, this has this has that. That should be eaten on a regular basis, but in a recipe for food. So I can go to dinner and have this or have it prepared. And I haven't heard that before. I mean, I've been going to doctors for a long time.
It's becoming more popular, I think, that places are now saying, you know, they're trying to cook with these spices and herbs that are, you know, they have a healthier effect on you. So
well, I've heard it for the taste, but not necessarily for, you know,
for the health benefits,
for health purposes. Courtney, let's talk after the show. We'll start building
start a restaurant,
series of restaurants.
I know. Well, and I think too, making it simple, like making the recipes simple enough for the busy person, so that it's not you know, a daunting list of a bunch of ingredients that they might not necessarily have. Because if I'm being completely honest, I mean, things like cinnamon aren't going to break the bank, but cardamom pods, for example, and anise. Sometimes some of these spices and herbs can be, you know, a little on the pricier side. Doesn't mean don't have them. It just means it might be a lot to ask someone to fill their pantry or their cupboard with all of these all of the time. But easy recipes, I agree with you, Malcolm, 100%. Easy recipes that on a regular basis incorporate a lot of these, and the ones we've spoken about before, different herbs and spices to help not only flavor the food, but achieve some of the health benefits associated with it. So, and then being mindful, of course, I mean, I think All of these can be incorporated relatively easy, and there's no downside whatsoever. I always caution, if you've got someone to say this will heal this, there are healing components to it, but I would never want to give the message that okay, we'll have rosemary, which we're going to talk about in a second, have rosemary oil and it's going to automatically improve your mood or your memory, where we just don't. We got decent data and maybe, but we're not quite there yet. So finding a practitioner that knows the balance between what the research is and then practical recipes to include them, I think is a good match.
Okay.
Nutmeg. Let's go back to. So you were asking about nutmeg.
I was just going to bring up what happened to my nutmeg.
There it is, nutmeg.
Okay.
It is. I'm with you. It is just a fabulous. The smell. It got a little bite to it. So if somebody's listening or watching and they're not familiar with it, there's definitely a little bite to it. That's one of the reasons why I personally like it. I like that little bite. So you always want to go slow with nutmeg. Right. If you look at a recipe and it says like an eighth of a teaspoon, and you look at that and say, gosh, that's hardly anything. Start with an eighth of a teaspoon, because if you put in too much, there's really no way to back out of it. And there's 2 ways to buy it. And you can buy it, despite the name, it is not in the nut family, but it does come in a nut form like that. And you can either grate it at home, which will give you the freshest, most vibrant flavor to it for any recipe that calls for ground nutmeg, or you can buy it already ground. Just be careful of how much you buy. Keep it well, capped, sealed, so that no air gets to it. And it is, I think of this time of year, I think of any of the sweet dishes that can be incorporated with nutmeg. Of course, eggnog with a little bit of splash, wonderful teas with nutmeg in it. It really has an incredibly instantly warming aroma to it that most people enjoy.
Right.
Max, what's your favorite way to use it?
I don't know. But I this time of year I'm going with eggnog that has a dash of rum, or the rum one, with some nutmeg. That would be my go-to during the holidays. Not everyone likes eggnog. It gets a bad rap. It depends, but it has enough rum in it, you'll like it. So I'm not pushing the alcohol because I don't drink much, but this time of year, if someone has a punch, I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna have some eggnog.
So is it more the rum, or is it more the nutmeg that you like? Maybe both.
I like the nutmeg, in different pastries. I like, I would use it just all around. I mean, do you have any recipe for it, or anything that you would say to use it in more than for nutmeg?
Mostly for like breads, like pumpkin type breads and things like that. I don't really have, although if I'm offered it, I will certainly this time of year have a sip of eggnog, because I figure if not this time of year, then when?
This is the only time, right? This is it.
And but I don't have one. So maybe if somebody has a really good one that's been passed down from generation to generation, they'd be so kind as to share with us, and we'll share it with the group. But sage and rosemary, we've been talking about a lot of these, not all of them, but herbs and spices that lend themselves to maybe more sweet dishes. But sage and rosemary, starting from Thanksgiving, a lot of people use sage for stuffing for their turkey. Or for seasoning. They're herb based for to marinate the turkey in, or basting and things like that. It's a great, wonderful. You can grow it. There's the sage leaves, which are wonderful, and then of course there's the sage oil. It may help improve circulation. And once again, it has digestive health benefits to it. So very easy. You can, at the end of the season, or if you go to the grocery store and you've bought more than what you need, you can certainly sliver it up, mix it into a little bit of softened butter, make little patties of it, and put that in your freezer. And then you've got herbed sage flavored butter to use in things like future roasts, or in rices, or in potatoes, or side dishes. It's wonderful.
Yeah, guys, I can't help but in my mind while you're talking, I'm going the song Parsley Sage.
Oh yes,
in time.
Yep, that's That's a good one. One of my,
It is a
one
good
of-
one.
one of
You
the-
gotta get your guitar, Max.
Take your guitar, Max, and
I
let's
think,
exit with this song. Where are you
I,
going to Scarborough Fair?
I would.
That's
I-
it. That's it. That's it. That's
I'd
it.
need a little music on that one. I mean,
Oh,
I
okay.
know the basics, but I would need more than that.
Okay. Be
I'm-
And
I-
that's
shy.
because I feel like I'm gonna get the hook soon because I'm looking at the clock. But rosemary, again, it's that very earthy smell to it is wonderful for things like one of my favorite easy recipes is for rosemary roasted potatoes.
Ooh,
Wonderful.
love
They get a little crispy in the oven. Nothing does the trick to roasted potatoes, in my opinion, of course, than rosemary. Again, if you've purchased it, again, we don't want to waste, and it's more than what you need, put it in a container, a freezer safe container, store it in your freezer. Is it as good as fresh? Maybe not, but it's a good in a pinch and keeps from waste, but it is a fabulous way to use up rosemary. We know that rosemary supports immune function, helps reduce risk of infection, and may help, as we just mentioned a second ago, improve mood and memory. So I feel like, from my perspective, this time of year, we need everything we can to help keep us from, getting sick or getting the flu or getting whatever. So whatever we can do to help support our immune function, including things like rosemary, is a great way to
Yeah,
go.
we should do a show one time all on potatoes. I think potatoes,
Yes.
the
Just
underrated,
potatoes, all
the
potatoes.
underrated vegetables.
Yeah,
I
underrated
mean, whether you're
vegetable.
talking about rosemary or roasted potatoes, there's so many ways of preparing them
Yes.
that are
I
totally
agree.
delicious and nutritious.
Absolutely. I'm with you. They got a bad rap, unfortunately. I'm
Yeah.
all for an all potato show, Malcolm.
All potatoes all done. Anyway, guys, that was
We'll
the
just call it spuds. No, okay.
spud. That was the alarm for the show. We've
Okay.
allotted 30 minutes and
Okay, so the basic thing is in all of this is to enjoy your family and friends during the holiday.
Clearly, yes.
Cook and bake together, turn up the music, dance while you're cooking, sing while you're cooking. The kitchen is the spot during the holidays.
That's why they
just
call it the spice of life.
it is.
Apparently it is, according to my cat.
The spice of life, and we love Simba, so yeah.
Anyway,
So,
guys, you have a great week preparing.
Yep.
Don't go
I'll-
crazy shopping for Christmas gifts.
No, we don't.
That's
we don't
not
go crazy.
the
We won't go crazy.
no.
So
I mean,
we'll-
buying
we'll-
gifts buying gifts is not the true
yeah,
meaning of Christmas anyway.
Well, people know, that
It's
as
love,
I
love,
said,
peace, and kindness.
love, peace, and understanding. So
Anyway, guys, have a
So-
great week.
all right. So thanks for
So take
joining
us
us
out.
for Courtney on Health. To get more info, follow Courtney on her Facebook page, Courtney on Health, on Instagram at CLG Wellness, and on TikTok. And visit her website, CourtneyGravenese.com. For more shows, go to MalcolmPresents.com and theManyShadesOfGreen.com. And it's Courtney on Health. Smart, sound nutrition, strong, safe fitness, and we will catch you again next time.
Have a great week.
Again,
Good
we're
week.
on demand on MalcolmPresents.com, and all the back shows are there.
Okay.
Bye.
Tune in.
Bye.